You know that feeling, don't you? That little pull to check your phone,
Oh, absolutely.
or you start scrolling and then suddenly you look up and just, wow, an hour has vanished.
Yeah.
Where did that time even go?
It's incredibly common. You pick up your phone intending to do one quick thing, maybe check the weather,
Right?
and the next thing you're down some rabbit hole, completely lost track.
Exactly that. And that feeling, that's kind of universal experience now, is exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at digital addiction.
Hmm.
It's everywhere in our hyper-connected world, isn't it? And it shapes our habits, sometimes in ways we don't even fully realize.
That's right.
So for this deep dive, we've been looking at a really comprehensive guide on the topic. We're pulling out the key insights, the definition, the causes, effects, and importantly, some solutions.
Trying to make it clear and digestible.
Yeah, cut through the noise for you.
Hmm.
So let's start with the basics. When we say digital addiction, what are we actually talking about?
Okay, so at its core, we're defining it as the compulsive and excessive use of digital devices. Your phone, tablet, computer.
The usual suspects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the key is that it reaches a point where it negatively impacts your overall well-being. It's gone beyond just liking tech.
Right. It's actually causing harm, detrimental effects.
Precisely. It's undermining parts of your life.
So it's not just, oh, I use my phone a lot. It's different.
It is. And a really important term here is compulsive. That means driven by an urge that feels almost irresistible.
Like you can't not do it.
Pretty much. Someone who feels they have to check their phone every 5 minutes, even if nothing's happened, that's a compulsive habit.
Okay.
Then there's screen time, which is simpler, just the literal amount of time you spend looking at a screen.
We hear about that a lot, reducing screen time.
We do, and for good reason. Excessive screen time, especially before bed, that's heavily linked to messing up your sleep.
Right, the blue light and all that.
Exactly. And this isn't usually just a phase people go through.
No.
No, another crucial term is chronic digital addiction. This points to a long-term dependence. It's ingrained.
So it's ongoing, not just a bad week.
Right. It's persistent, people can feel really trapped by their technology use, and it causes significant problems elsewhere in their lives. Especially concerning for teens, actually.
That makes sense. Okay, so if it can be this chronic, long-term thing, what are the warning signs? The red flags maybe you, the listener, might recognize.
Well, there are several key areas to look at, emotionally and mentally. A big one is feeling anxious or really uneasy when you're not connected.
Like when you can't find your phone, that little panic.
That's exactly it. Or losing all track of time when you are online. You sit down for, just 1 minute.
Famous last words.
Right. And suddenly an hour, maybe more, is just evaporated. That just one more video trap is incredibly powerful.
Oh, absolutely. Been there, done that.
We all have, I think. Then you got the behavioral signs. Things like neglecting real-life responsibilities.
Putting off work, chores.
Yeah, delaying important stuff because you're absorbed online. And critically, it can really damage relationships.
How so?
Well, you might be physically in the room with someone, but you're not really present. You're choosing the phone over the person.
Phubbing, they call it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Phone snubbing.
That's the term.
Yeah.
And physically, as you mentioned, poor sleep quality is a major one. That screen use before bed is a killer for sleep cycles.
Definitely.
And it's interesting, some common phrases really capture this experience. Things people say like, I feel disconnected without my phone.
That anxiety again.
Exactly.
Huh.
Or that paradox, social media is my escape, but it's becoming toxic. That real love-hate thing.
Yeah, I've heard people say that.
And then there's that moment of clarity. Often after trying to cut back, I didn't realize how addicted I was until I tried a digital detox.
The aha moment.
That's it. It's often only when you step away that the scale of the habit really hits you. It's interesting how people even talk about it grammatically. Well, people often use the present perfect tense like, I have been spending way too much time online lately. That phrasing itself emphasizes the ongoing, continuous nature of the behavior, which fits perfectly with addiction being a process, not just a single event.
That's a subtle but really insightful point. Okay, so we see the signs. But why? Why are we so easily hooked? What's the psychology making it so hard to resist?
This is where it gets really fascinating and maybe a bit unsettling. A lot of our research points to intentional design by tech companies.
You mean they want us hooked?
Well, the platforms are often meticulously engineered to be incredibly engaging. Sometimes arguably to the point of being addictive. Think about infinite scrolling.
Right, there's no end point.
Exactly. It removes natural stopping cues or push notifications, those constant little pings.
Designed to grab your attention.
Precisely. To pull you back in, even if you were doing something else entirely.
And the whole likes and followers thing,
Yeah.
that taps into something deeper, doesn't it? Social validation.
It absolutely does. It feeds directly into our basic human need for connection, for approval. It's almost like they've found these back doors into our brain's reward system.
Like hacking our brains.
You can sort of see it that way, giving us these quick hits of validation that make us want to return again and again.
And that brings us to dopamine, right? That word comes up constantly in this discussion.
It does. Dopamine is essentially the brain's chemical messenger for pleasure and reward.
Okay.
So when you do something that feels good, you get a like, you win a game level, you see a funny video, your brain releases dopamine.
Feels good, want to do it again.
Exactly. It creates this pleasurable feeling, reinforces the behavior. And what's quite powerful is how efficiently these digital platforms trigger that release. It creates this intense reward loop.
So every notification, every like, it's a little dopamine hit.
In a way, yes. It's instant gratification. Our source material really highlighted this, saying every like on a post releases dopamine, making the experience addictive. This feeds into what's called the reinforcement loop.
Okay, explain that loop.
It's simple. You perform an action, like checking your phone. You receive a reward, maybe a notification or a funny comment. That reward makes you want to perform the action again.
Like training a pet with treats or slot machines.
Very similar mechanisms, yeah. Intermittent rewards keep you engaged, and our brains get wired to expect this instant gratification online.
Which makes real life feel slow.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it harder to engage with activities that require more patience for their reward, like reading a deep book or learning an instrument.
That's, wow, a bit concerning. And all this constant input, the notifications, the updates, that's overstimulation.
Exactly. Our brains are just bombarded, constantly switched on overdrive.
Leading to burnout.
Precisely. We're seeing a lot of talk about digital burnout now, especially with remote work, blurring the lines between online work and online personal life. It's relentless.
So, okay, we've got the mechanisms. What are the real-world consequences, the ripple effects of all this?
They're pretty wide-ranging, unfortunately. Mentally, there's a well-documented higher risk of anxiety and depression.
From comparing yourself to others online, FOMO.
Yeah, social comparison is a big factor. And FOMO, the fear of missing out, definitely keeps people glued to screens, fueling anxiety.
We talked about sleep already, the physical side. Anything else there?
Well, beyond sleep, there's a cognitive impact. Attention spans seem to be shrinking.
I feel that sometimes. Harder to focus on long things.
Exactly. Our brains adapt to the quick, bite-sized information online, making sustained focus on complex tasks like deep reading much more challenging.
And socially, you mentioned damaged relationships, but also isolation. Isn't that ironic for social media?
It's a huge paradox. As one source put it, ironically, social media can lead to social isolation. You can have hundreds, thousands of online friends.
You'd feel lonely.
Precisely. And real-life relationships suffer when the tech consistently takes priority. We see clear cause and effect examples, like because of his screen addiction, his grades have plummeted. Or the example of neglect. She neglected her family while gaming late into the night. That's failing to care for responsibilities.
Or just generally, excessive use leads to emotional disconnection.
Exactly. And that lost time thing we mentioned earlier, that trance-like state.
Yeah, how does that actually happen?
It seems to be a mix. Your focus narrows incredibly like tunnel vision on the screen, excluding everything else. Plus, that dopamine release we talked about, it can actually mess with your perception of time passing.
So time feels like it's going faster than it is.
It can, yeah. So you've got narrowed focus and distorted time perception. It's a bit of a double whammy keeping you stuck there.
Wow. Okay, so there's a lot of vocabulary swirling around this topic too, isn't there? Terms people might hear.
Definitely. Things like doom scrolling.
Ah, yes. Endlessly scrolling through bad news.
Exactly. He was stuck doom scrolling for hours. It's become very common, sadly. And FOMO we mentioned.
Fear of missing out. Keeps people checking constantly.
Right. Then there's digital detox, taking a deliberate break from devices.
I did a weekend digital detox and felt amazing. People often say that.
You do. Another interesting one is algorithmic addiction, being hooked specifically by recommendation engines, like on YouTube or TikTok.
Where it just keeps feeding you stuff you'll watch.
Exactly. YouTube's algorithmic addiction keeps viewers online for hours. It raises questions, too, about filter bubbles.
Yeah, definitely. And what about when you can't get online?
That's disconnection anxiety.
Mm.
Real stress or unease when you don't have signal or Wi-Fi. She experienced disconnection anxiety when traveling.
Okay, powerful terms defining these experiences. We've laid out the problem, the mechanisms, the fallout. The big question now, what can we actually do about it? How do we find a healthier balance?
Right, the solutions. And the good news is there are practical steps.
Well,
One of the simplest but most effective. Turn off non-essential notifications.
it's silence the constant pinging.
Exactly. Reduce those constant pulls on your attention. It really helps lessen that compulsive urge to check.
Okay, that feels achievable. What else?
Setting screen time limits, either for specific apps that you know are time sinks or for your overall device use.
Needs some willpower, though.
It does. It
Ah.
requires self-discipline, definitely. The ability to control those impulses. As our source material noted, digital balance requires self-discipline. But it's about becoming more conscious.
Making intentional choices.
Yes. And related to that is creating tech-free zones or times.
Like no phones at the dinner table.
Perfect example.
Hmm.
Or no devices in the bedroom. These create clear boundaries. Setting digital boundaries is absolutely key for mental well-being.
Okay, physical boundaries for digital use. Makes sense.
You could even try something like grayscale mode on your phone.
Grayscale. Making it black and white.
Yeah. It makes the screen much less visually stimulating, less appealing, takes away some of that bright, shiny allure.
Huh. That's a clever little trick. I haven't heard that one often.
It can be surprisingly effective for some,
Mhm.
but maybe the most crucial thing is actively replacing the digital habit with real-world stuff.
Like going outside, hobbies.
Exactly. Spending time outdoors, pursuing hobbies you enjoy, making a point to connect with people face to face. It's about actively rediscovering the joys of the real world, not just passively avoiding the digital one.
And this is where mindfulness comes in, right? Being present.
Absolutely. Mindfulness helps reduce compulsive device use.
Hmm.
It's about being aware in the moment, aware of the urge to pick up the phone, aware of your environment, and making a conscious choice instead of just reacting automatically.
So being deliberate about engagement.
Precisely.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a huge amount of ground here. We've really unpacked what digital addiction means, looking beyond just time spent online to that compulsive, detrimental aspect. We've seen how platform design can intentionally hook us, explored the neuroscience with dopamine and reinforcement loops.
And the very real effects on mental health, sleep, focus, relationships.
Yeah, and importantly, we've identified concrete, practical steps people can take to build a healthier relationship with technology. Things like managing notifications, setting boundaries, practicing mindfulness.
And rediscovering non-digital activities. It shows there are ways to regain control.
It really does. And that awareness, just understanding these mechanisms, feels like a massive first step.
It's fundamental. You can't change what you don't recognize.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, we really want to leave you, our listener, with something to think about.
Yeah.
Take a moment, maybe later today, just to reflect on your own relationship with technology. Think honestly about the good parts, the amazing things it enables, but also the potential downsides you might be experiencing.
The time lost, the anxieties, the distractions.
Exactly. And ask yourself, could even some small intentional changes, like turning off a few notifications or putting the phone away during dinner, could those lead to a more mindful, maybe more fulfilling life, both online and offline?
It's worth considering.
Definitely. This deep dive, it's really just a starting point for your own continued exploration of finding that balance.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration today. Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
If you're tuning in, you've obviously worked incredibly hard to get your English up to a C2 level. Seriously, that's fantastic.
It really is.
But you probably know that at this stage, the goal kind of shifts, doesn't it? It's less about basic understanding and more about, well, polishing things up. Making your speech sound truly natural. Ironing out those little subtle mistakes that, let's be honest, even advanced learners can make. Getting that near-native feel.
Right.
And that often means going beyond what the textbooks can teach you.
Precisely. That feeling that, oh, there's still something subtle missing. It's so common. You can handle complex conversations, read difficult books, but those really fine points, the truly natural idioms, the cultural bits, the rhythm of how people actually talk, they're harder to grab from standard learning.
Yeah.
So today, we're going to unpack two, I think, really fun and super effective ways to bridge that exact gap. Basically, turning entertainment into some serious learning.
That's the plan. Our mission here is to really explore how you can use TV series and audiobooks as powerful tools to take your fluency to the next level.
Yeah, leveraging what you enjoy.
Exactly. Turning something fun into something, well, profoundly effective for your learning. So let's kick things off with our first method, using TV series. Now, obviously, you get lots of exposure, but what really makes watching shows such a great tool, especially for C2 learners?
Well, for C2, it's not just about hearing the language, it's about seeing it performed. You start to get an intuitive feel for the natural flow, the rhythm, the stress, the intonation, that kind of musical quality English has.
The prosody.
Exactly, the prosody. And beyond that, it's a fantastic window into how language works in context. You know, how people adjust their speech, the unspoken rules of chatting, all those cultural references that pop up.
Right.
It's almost like a live lab for seeing how native speakers actually communicate day to day.
That's a great point about performance and context. And the repetition is key too, isn't it? Spending hours with characters, you absorb whole phrases and patterns naturally.
You do. You internalize it.
Way better than just memorizing lists.
Yeah.
And we've picked out a mix of genres, dramas, comedies, historical stuff, so you can see how language changes in different settings.
Yeah.
All right, feeling brave. Let's start with a show that definitely throws you in at the deep end, but it's worth it.
Ah, you must mean The West Wing.
Got it in one. The West Wing, it's just brilliant, especially if you're into politics or just amazing writing. It's set in the White House, goes behind the scenes. But the language,
Wow. Oh,
it's famously fast, super sharp, really dense. Characters talk over each other, use tons of jargon, technical terms, and there's this constant witty back and forth. How do you even start with that as a learner?
it can feel overwhelming at first, definitely. But that intensity is actually why it's so good for C2. You're not just listening to understand words, you're analyzing how they talk.
Okay.
Listen for how Aaron Sorkin packs so much into sentences, the quick-fire arguments, how they use overlapping speech to show urgency or, debate. It's high-level stuff.
Right. It's persuasion and action.
Exactly. And honestly, if you can keep pace with The West Wing, you'll find most real-life conversations much easier to handle. My tip, don't just pause for words you don't know. Pause and actually try to mimic the rhythm and intonation of tricky lines. Shadowing.
Shadowing. Yeah, I remember watching it and feeling like my brain was getting a workout. And you're right. You learn the political terms, filibuster, caucus, all that.
Sure.
But it's more about seeing how language is used to persuade, to argue.
Yes.
Sorkin loves language. Sarcasm, the irony, the wordplay, it's all there.
He really does. If you want a powerful episode to start with, one that shows off the language and the emotion, try Two Cathedrals, Season 2. It's intense.
Good tip. Okay, so The West Wing is for the ambitious. Let's switch gears completely. Something lighter, maybe? Something globally loved?
Friends.
Friends.
Now, some might think, oh, that's too easy for C2. What's your take?
Yeah, I hear that, but it's a misconception, I think. Friends might seem simple, but for C2, it's actually an amazing resource for mastering natural, everyday conversation.
It's packed with colloquialisms, really common phrasal verbs used in subtle ways, and just the general rhythm of chat. Plus, all those iconic jokes and catchphrases, they're part of the culture. Understanding them helps you integrate.
That makes sense. And it's great for seeing how language shapes personality, isn't it? Chandler's sarcasm is all linguistic.
Totally.
Monica's precision, Phoebe's, well, Phoebeisms. Ross being Ross. You see how they use language differently to connect, to be funny?
Absolutely. C2 learners should focus on the sheer number of common idioms, those tricky phrasal verbs, definitely. But also, really tune into the conversational flow, the interruptions, finishing each other's sentences, how intonation signals sarcasm or surprise. A lot of the humor comes from wordplay or misunderstandings. Great practice. For a classic example of that fast, witty dialogue, check out the one with the embryos, the quiz episode. It's brilliant.
Love that one. Okay, let's move to something quite different. A show that pushes boundaries, narratively and linguistically. Breaking Bad.
Oh, definitely. Breaking Bad. Intense crime drama. The language reflects that it's raw, sometimes dark, lots of swearing, specific jargon. It's not for everyone, for sure.
Right.
But if you're a C2 learner interested in how language builds tension, creates suspense, and develops really complex characters, it's a masterclass.
I always found the contrast between Walter White and Jesse Pinkman fascinating linguistically.
Yes, that's key.
Walter starts out so articulate, very teacherly vocabulary.
Yeah.
Jesse's all slang and informality. But then Walter changes.
That's one of the most brilliant parts. Walter's whole transformation is mirrored in his language. He starts adopting Jesse's slang, his way of speaking, but also develops this colder, more manipulative way of talking.
You see, language is a tool for power there.
Exactly. And the setting, Albuquerque, adds another layer. You get regional accents, local sayings, even some Spanish mixed in because it's near the border. For a really intense language episode, Ozymandias in season 5. Wow.
Right. Powerful stuff. Okay, let's cross the Atlantic now. London Calling with Sherlock. This one feels like a gift for language learners.
Ugh, Sherlock. Yes, a linguistic feast. The language is just so rich, clever, fast, and very, very British.
Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock has those incredible rapid-fire deduction speeches.
Those cascades of logic, yes.
And the Martin Freeman's Watson is the down-to-earth counterpoint. The contrast is fantastic.
It really is.
The writing's full of clever puns, wordplay, references.
Yeah.
You catch more each time you watch. Plus, looks amazing, captures London so well.
Definitely. C2 learners can really dissect Sherlock's monologues, how he structures arguments, the precise words he chooses. And the British humor often relies on understatement or irony, which is a key skill to pick up.
Good point.
For a great introduction, the first episode, A Study in Pink, sets the stage perfectly.
Okay, let's step back in time now. The 1960s, Mad Men. All about style, sophistication.
And advertising, it's set in that world, and it's such a careful period piece. The clothes, the music, and yes, the language, it feels so authentic to the 60s.
Very elegant.
Very elegant, sophisticated dialogue. You get insights into how ad campaigns were crafted back then, the language they used to persuade. It's interesting to see how that's changed, too.
The characters are fascinating, too. Complex, flawed, lots of tension simmering beneath the surface. Language is often used indirectly for manipulation, maybe.
You're spot on. It's brilliant for learning to read between the lines, understand what's not being said, picking up on euphemisms and subtext. For an episode that really captures that and shows language used for reflection and manipulation, try The Wheel, the season 1 finale.
Great recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, and another stylish show, but totally a different vibe. Black Mirror. So relevant right now.
Hugely relevant. It's that sci-fi anthology, each episode looking at the dark side of technology. It really makes you think.
Definitely.
Language-wise, it's a different kind of challenge. You get tech terms, futuristic ideas, sometimes completely new words, neologisms. You have to be good at guessing meaning from context.
So it stretches your vocabulary in a specific way.
Exactly. And the way they use language to build those future worlds is really creative. Plus, visually, it's stunning. For a sharp take on social media, Nosedive from season 3 is a must-watch. Very satirical.
Ah, yes, that one's memorable. Now, how about a show set in the past, but one that feels very current in its themes? I'm thinking The Crown.
Oh, The Crown. Fantastic production. The acting, the costumes, everything's top tier.
And the language.
Utterly fascinating. It gives you this glimpse into how the royal family speaks, or is portrayed speaking. Very formal, very polite, lots of emphasis on tradition, protocol.
A real contrast to most other shows.
Huge contrast. It's a brilliant study in how language signals power, authority, social distance. You see it in the sentence structures, the word choices.
And you see the Queen's language change over time, too, right? From hesitant to more commanding. And how others adjust their speech around royalty.
Precisely. It's great for analyzing how people adapt their language based on who they're talking to. For a powerful early episode showing that weight of responsibility, check out Hyde Park Corner in season 1. That's when her father dies.
Right. A pivotal moment. Okay, to wrap up the TV section, let's go a bit more down to earth, but still linguistically rich. The Office, the U.S. version.
Yeah, The Office. Hilarious.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Mockumentary style, set in a paper company. The characters are so quirky and relatable.
It nails office culture perfectly. The petty stuff, the awkward moments, the general absurdity. For C2 learners, it's fantastic for understanding what's not said, the conversational implicature, the subtext in everyday office chat, and spotting irony and sarcasm, of course.
Loads of that. And the language is interesting. It's everyday chat mixed with office jargon. Plus, wasn't there a lot of improv?
Yes, a significant amount. And that makes the dialogue feel incredibly natural, really spontaneous. You get to hear genuine, unscripted sounding English.
Great for picking up those natural hesitations and fillers.
Exactly. For peak cringe humor and linguistic awkwardness, you have to watch Dinner Party from season 4. It's a classic.
A legendary episode.
Yeah.
So that's a whirlwind tour of some great TV options for C2 learners. Just a sample, really.
Yeah, just some ideas.
Hopefully it gives you a sense not just what to watch, but how to watch it actively for language learning.
And that's the absolute key, isn't it? Find shows you genuinely enjoy. That enjoyment is what keeps you going, keeps you engaged, and that's where the deep learning happens. It's not passive.
Right. Treat it like analysis. Pay attention to how characters use words, the different techniques. Pause, rewind, look things up.
The more you actively engage, the more you'll absorb, and the more your own fluency will improve. Plus, it's a great excuse to watch more TV.
Can't argue with that. Okay, let's switch gears now to our second powerhouse tool, audiobooks. I think a lot of people see these purely as entertainment, right? Just passive listening.
That's such a common thought, but it really undersells them. Audiobooks, if you use them smartly, are way more than passive. They can be an incredibly powerful focused tool for improving your English, especially at an advanced level.
Okay, let's unpack that then. Is it just a case of picking any audiobook and hitting play? Or is there more strategy involved for C2 folks?
There's definitely strategy. At C2, you're looking for that sweet spot of challenge, not just matching your overall level, but finding books where maybe the vocabulary is dense, or the sentences are complex, or the style pushes you a bit.
Right. Challenging, but not impossible.
Exactly. You want something that makes you actively work a little to understand the nuances, not just the basic plot.
Makes sense. Now, what about how we listen? Active versus passive? Do I need headphones on, total focus? Or can I listen while doing chores? How can C2 learners use both ways?
Both are valuable, definitely. Active listening is your focused session. You're really tuning in, dissecting pronunciation, intonation, stress patterns, maybe even noticing grammatical structures. It's like an intense workout for your ears and brain. Passive listening is more about immersion while you're doing other things, commuting, cooking, whatever. You're bathing your brain in the sounds, the rhythm, the flow of natural English. It helps you internalize patterns subconsciously.
So you can switch between them.
Absolutely. Depends on your time, your energy, your specific goal for that listening session. That flexibility is a huge plus.
Got it. Now, vocabulary. Audiobooks are full of rich words. How do we make those high-level words and phrases actually stick when we hear them?
Right. For C2, it's about going deeper than just the definition. When you hear a new word, sure, rewind, hear it in context, try to guess the meaning. But then think about how it's used.
Yep.
What words does it usually go with its collocations? Is it formal, informal? What's its nuance? Don't just jot down the word. Write a sentence using it. Maybe make a flashcard that forces you to use it in different ways.
Be active with it.
Critically active. And then the most important step, actually use that new word yourself. In conversation, in writing, as soon as possible. Focus on words relevant to you. Quality over quantity.
You mentioned pronunciation earlier, too. Lots of advanced learners still worry about their accent or getting that native-like intonation. Can audiobooks really help polish that?
Oh, profoundly. Listening to different narrators, different accents, it's like a sophisticated workout for your ears. You get better at noticing the subtle sound variations across different types of English. And in intonation, that's the music, right? How your voice goes up and down, where the stress falls. Mastering that is crucial for sounding natural, not just correct. Audiobooks give you fantastic models for that. Try shadowing, mimicking the narrator out loud. It feels weird at first, but it works.
Shadowing again. Good tip. But here's a practical question. How do busy people actually fit audiobooks into their lives? It can feel like just another thing to do.
It's all about finding those pockets of time. Your commute is obvious. Cooking, exercising, waiting in line, even 5 minutes here and there adds up.
Micro-listening sessions.
Exactly. Or create a routine. Maybe 30 minutes before bed. Or a longer listen on weekends. Because you can often multitask, it doesn't always feel like an extra burden. Make it a conscious habit.
And most apps have speed controls now. That seems useful.
Game changer. Absolutely. You can slow things down to really analyze a tricky bit, catch every nuance of pronunciation.
Or speed it up.
Or speed it up. If you're advanced, listening slightly faster can challenge your comprehension, push you to process quicker, make you more fluent under pressure. It's like adjusting the weights at the gym. Find the right resistance for you.
Great analogy. But what if you hit a word you just don't know? Do you stop constantly? That breaks the flow.
Yeah, you don't want to do that too much. Context is your best friend here. Try to guess the meaning first. Be a detective. Look at the words around it, the overall tone.
Infer the meaning.
Infer it. If you're really stuck, maybe quickly jot it down or bookmark it and look it up later. Keep the story flowing. Then, once you do know it, use it. Take it for that test drive in your own speech.
This is all super helpful. Before we get to specific books, any final tips on choosing the right ones for C2? Narrator style. Genre.
Well, number one is always pick something you'll genuinely enjoy. Passion fuels learning.
True.
Beyond that, for C2, maybe listen to samples and consider narrators who do great character voices, really bring the text alive, and definitely explore Different accents, British, American, Australian, others, broaden your ears experience.
Like diverse musical styles for your ears.
Exactly. And think about genre based on your goals. Fiction for story flow and dialogue, nonfiction for more academic or technical language and argument structure. Experiment. There's no single right answer.
Good advice. And making it stick long term.
Consistency.
Yeah.
Like building muscle. Even short, regular listening sessions make a huge difference over time. And be patient. Refining English at this level is a journey. Enjoy the process, enjoy the stories, keep at it.
Fantastic advice. Okay, let's get into some concrete recommendations then. Maybe starting with learners who are building up towards C2.
Sure. For learners solidifying basics, needing clarity, Charlotte's Web by E.B. White is wonderful. Heartwarming story, beautiful, simple language, clear narration.
A classic.
Or even something like The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. Very short, repetitive, great for core structures and vocabulary. The pictures help too, even in audio context sometimes.
Good point. And for intermediate learners, ready for more.
The Harry Potter series is almost unavoidable. Captivating story, vocabulary grows with the books. Plus, you can choose the Jim Dale American narration or the Stephen Fry British one. Great for comparing accents.
That's a brilliant feature. What about something less fantasy, more everyday?
For that, Wonder by R.J. Palacio is excellent. It's a really moving story, deals with social themes, but the language is very accessible, very contemporary. Great for real-world conversational English.
Okay, and now for the C2 crowd listening today. Ready for a real linguistic workout.
All right, advanced level. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. Just a masterpiece. Powerful story, yes, but linguistically you get that southern U.S. setting, the accents, the rich, nuanced language, a deep dive into rhetoric and character.
A literary choice. What about nonfiction?
Sapiens. A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. It tackles huge, complex ideas about history and humanity, but the language is incredibly clear and engaging. Fantastic for building high-level analytical and argumentative vocabulary.
That's a popular one. Anything maybe a bit lighter, but still challenging.
Sci-fi, maybe.
Good call.
Yep.
The Martian by Andy Weir. It's a gripping survival story, lots of humor, but it's packed with witty dialogue and quite a bit of technical, science-based vocabulary woven naturally into the plot. Really fun, but stretches you.
Excellent. Those are some great starting points across the board with clear reasons why they work for language learning.
Yeah, hopefully helpful. My final thought really is just to embrace audiobooks. They are such an incredible, flexible tool. They make learning fun, engaging. You improve listening, vocabulary, those subtle nuances.
Find stories you love, make it a regular habit, and honestly, you will see your fluency reach new heights. You really will.
Beautifully put. Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive looking at how TV series and audiobooks can be so much more than just entertainment. They're strategic tools for you at this advanced stage.
Absolutely. Deliberate practice that feels like fun.
Exactly. So the only question left is, what are you waiting for? Put on those headphones, press play, and let your next language learning adventure begin. Welcome to the deep dive. We've gathered your sources, and oh, what a compelling stack we have today. We're embarking on two distinct, yet incredibly relevant journeys from your material. First up, we'll navigate the complexities of our digital world, specifically tackling, well, that ever-present challenge of digital addiction. You know that feeling, don't you? That subtle tug to check your phone, or maybe an hour just vanishing into the scroll. Then we'll pivot to an equally powerful topic for our advanced C2 English learners, how you can supercharge your fluency using TV series and audiobooks as engaging strategic tools.
It really is fascinating how both areas, despite seeming quite different, really shine a light on our relationship with digital tools. The core theme, I think, is about conscious engagement, making sure our digital interactions are intentional, productive, whether that's for our well-being or, for some pretty profound learning. Your sources really highlight this importance.
That desire for intentionality, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So let's just dive right into that first big topic then. That feeling of time vanishing is clearly pervasive. I think many of us feel that. But what exactly are we experiencing on a deeper level when we talk about digital addiction?
It's incredibly common now, isn't it? Almost universal, that instinctive pull towards our devices. When we talk about digital addiction, what we're defining it as is the compulsive and excessive use of digital devices. Your phone, tablet, computer, to a point where it actually negatively impacts your overall well-being. It goes beyond simply enjoying technology. It starts causing detrimental effects. It undermines parts of your life. It shifts from just heavy use to problematic use.
Right, so compulsive seems like a key identifier there.
Yeah.
What does that truly imply in this context?
Compulsive means you're driven by an urge that feels almost irresistible. You feel like you can't not do it. Think about constantly checking your phone, maybe every few minutes, even when you know deep down there's probably nothing new. And while everyone understands screen time, just the hours spent looking at a screen, our sources really emphasize it's the quality and the timing, especially screen time right before bed because of that blue light. That can be genuinely detrimental to your sleep cycles, your overall health.
And this isn't just like a fleeting bad habit, is it?
Yeah.
It can become something more persistent, more ingrained.
Absolutely. We also talk about chronic digital addiction. That signifies a long-term dependence. It's ingrained, it's persistent. It's not just a passing phase, but an ongoing problem that causes significant issues elsewhere in a person's life. And this is especially concerning when we look at teenagers, for instance.
Okay, so if it could be this chronic, long-term challenge, what are some of the key warning signs? The red flags you might recognize, maybe in yourself or someone close to you?
Yeah, the tricky thing is it often hides in plain sight. But there are subtle shifts. One major sign is feeling anxious or uneasy when you're not connected. That little panic when you can't find your phone or the Wi-Fi is down. Another is losing track of time online. Just one more minute turns into an hour, and you genuinely wonder where that time went. Behaviorally, it can show up as neglecting real-life responsibilities, work, maybe chores, or even damaging relationships. You might be physically present with someone, but mentally you're just glued to your screen.
Right, that phubbing idea. Phone snubbing.
Exactly, phubbing or phone snubbing. Being there, but not really there.
That idea of being physically present but mentally absent.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's so relatable for so many people today.
It really is. And often people only grasp the extent of their habit after they try to cut back. You get that aha moment when they attempt a digital detox and find themselves saying, wow, I didn't realize how addicted I was until I actually tried to stop. It can be a stark realization just how deeply embedded these habits become.
It really sounds like we're fighting against some powerful forces here. The psychology behind this addiction seems particularly compelling. Why are we so easily hooked?
This is where it gets truly fascinating, I think. A big part of it, according to the research, points to the intentional design of these tech platforms. They're meticulously engineered. They're designed to be incredibly engaging.
How so?
Well, take infinite scrolling. It removes any natural stopping cues, right? There's no endpoint. Or push notifications, those constant little pings, they're specifically designed to grab your attention, pull you back in. They create this powerful feedback loop. And then there's the whole system of likes and followers. That taps directly into a very basic human need for social validation, for approval.
It almost feels like they've found these backdoors into our brain's reward systems, giving us these quick hits of validation that just make us want to come back again and again.
Exactly right. And that leads us straight to dopamine, often called the brain's chemical messenger for pleasure and reward. When you get a like, or win a game, or see something really entertaining, your brain releases dopamine. It creates that pleasurable feeling. Digital platforms are just incredibly efficient at triggering that release. They create this intense reward loop. Our sources highlight that every like on a post releases dopamine, making the experience addictive. So it reinforces the behavior. Action checking your phone leads to reward the notification, which then creates this desire to repeat the action.
Like training a pet or slot machines.
Very much like slot machines, yeah. It's a powerful reinforcement loop. And this constant chase for instant gratification online, it can actually start to rewire our brains a bit. It can make real-life activities, things that require patience, feel slow or less engaging by comparison.
That's a bit concerning how our brains can be subtly reprogrammed like that. And with all this constant input notifications, updates, everything, it must lead to a kind of overstimulation, right?
Precisely. Our brains are just perpetually bombarded, constantly on overdrive, you could say. And that often leads to what people call digital burnout, the sheer volume of information, the constant alerts. They leave very little room for true mental rest. It blurs the lines between, say, online work and personal life, and can lead to this persistent fatigue.
So beyond just feeling tired or burnt out, what are the broader consequences, the ripple effects of this digital overengagement?
The consequences can be quite far-reaching, unfortunately. Mentally, there's a well-documented higher risk of anxiety and depression, often fueled by things like social comparison or that FOMO, the fear of missing out, which keeps people glued to their screens.
All right, FOMO.
Cognitively, we're seeing effects like shrinking attention spans, increased difficulty with sustained focus on complex tasks, like, say, deep reading, and Socially, even if you have hundreds, thousands of online connections, excessive tech use can paradoxically lead to real-life social isolation. Your real relationships can suffer. It can lead to an emotional disconnection from the people actually around you.
You mentioned that feeling of time distortion earlier, too, where an hour just seems to vanish. How does that happen psychologically?
It seems to be a combination of factors. For one, your focus narrows incredibly when you're engrossed in a screen. It creates a kind of tunnel vision, excluding everything else. Plus, that dopamine release we talked about, it can actually alter your perception of time passing, can make it feel like time is speeding up. So you've got this narrowed focus combined with a distorted sense of time, and boom, hours can just disappear without you realizing it.
Wow. Okay, there are a few key terms people might encounter when talking about these habits. Could you maybe walk us through a couple of the big ones?
Certainly. Two that come up a lot are doom scrolling and digital detox. Doom scrolling,
Yeah.
that describes the experience of endlessly scrolling through bad news online. You feel compelled to keep reading, even though it's making you feel worse.
Like getting stuck.
Exactly. Someone might say he found himself doom scrolling for hours, just couldn't look away from the headlines. On the flip side, a digital detox is a deliberate, conscious break from devices. It's an intentional step away. You might hear, I did a weekend digital detox and felt amazing. It really cleared my head. These terms really capture specific, very common, modern digital experiences.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem, its mechanisms, the fallout. The big question now is, what can we actually do about it? How do we find a healthier balance?
Right, that's the crucial pivot, isn't it? Moving from awareness to action. And there are very practical steps you can take. One of the simplest yet really effective things is to turn off non-essential notifications. Just silencing those constant pings significantly reduces those compulsive urges to check your phone all the time. Another strategy is setting specific screen time limits, maybe for particular apps that you know are time sinks, or for your overall device use each day. Now, this does require self-discipline, making intentional choices about how you structure your digital day.
Those feel like tangible first steps, definitely.
Yeah.
What else can people try?
Creating tech-free zones or times is absolutely key. Establishing clear boundaries. For example, no phones at the dinner table, no devices in the bedroom before sleep. These digital boundaries are essential for mental well-being and also for fostering those real-world connections. And perhaps the most impactful step is actively replacing digital habits with real-world activities.
Like
Going outside, pursuing a hobby you've maybe let slide, or making a conscious effort to connect face-to-face with people. It's really about actively rediscovering the joys of the physical world around you. Mindfulness, too, plays a vital role here. Just being aware of that urge to pick up your phone and then making a conscious choice instead of just reacting automatically.
being deliberate about our engagement. It sounds like awareness, just understanding these mechanisms we've talked about, is a massive first step in itself.
It's fundamental. You really can't change what you don't recognize. And understanding these sophisticated design tactics, well, it empowers you to start reclaiming some control.
Absolutely. Okay, wow. We've covered a huge amount of ground on our relationship with technology, how to manage digital well-being. But now, let's pivot slightly. If we can be so intentional about maybe reducing screen time, what about being intentional about leveraging digital tools for personal growth, for learning?
Precisely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really is all about conscious engagement. And for advanced English learners, say C2 level learners, the challenge shifts, doesn't it? It moves beyond basic understanding. It becomes about achieving that truly natural, native-like fluency. And this is where entertainment can become an exceptionally powerful, targeted learning tool.
Right, so if you're a C2 learner, you've already put in incredible work to get there. But at this stage, the goal shifts, like you said. It's less about basic comprehension, more about polishing those final edges, making your speech sound genuinely natural, ironing out those subtle mistakes maybe even advanced learners make.
Exactly that. That feeling that something subtle is still missing is so common at the C2 level. You can handle complex conversations, read challenging texts, sure. But those truly natural idioms, the cultural nuances, and especially the authentic rhythm of native speech, that's much harder to grasp just from textbooks.
And that's precisely what we want to explore now, how to transform everyday entertainment into serious linguistic advancement. So let's kick things off with our first method, using TV series. For C2 learners, why are shows such a potent tool?
Well, for C2, it's not just about hearing the language, it's about seeing it performed. You get this intuitive feel for the natural flow, the rhythm, the stress patterns, the intonation, what linguists call
Prosody. Right, the music of the language.
Exactly, the music. And getting that prosody right is crucial for sounding authentically native, even if your grammar is perfect. TV series offer this fantastic window into how language actually works in context, how people adjust their speech, the unspoken rules of interaction, all those cultural references baked in. It's like a live lab for authentic communication. Plus, the repetition of spending hours with characters helps you absorb whole phrases and patterns naturally. You really internalize them.
That's a great point about performance and context. Okay, let's dive into some specific recommendations then, ones that offer a real linguistic workout for C2 learners. First up, The West Wing.
Ugh, The West Wing. Brilliant, especially if you appreciate sharp dialogue, complex political stuff. The language is famously fast, it's dense, it's packed with jargon. For a C2 learner, it's not just about keeping up with the speed, it's about mastering linguistic precision under pressure. How to articulate complex ideas quickly. Pay attention to how Aaron Sorkin packs so much meaning into sentences, how characters use these quickfire arguments, and how overlapping speech builds that sense of urgency. It's high-level persuasion and articulation on display.
Any tips for tackling that speed?
Yeah, a great strategy is shadowing. Try mimicking the rhythm and intonation of particularly tricky, rapid-fire lines out loud. The episode Two Cathedrals in Season 2, that's a masterclass in powerful, fast-paced delivery.
Okay, The West Wing for precision and pace. Let's switch gears completely. Something focused on everyday interactions. Friends. Now, some might think, oh, Friends, isn't that too simple for C2? What's your take?
It's a common misconception, definitely. But Friends is actually an amazing resource for mastering natural, everyday conversation at a C2 level. It's absolutely packed with colloquialisms, incredibly common phrasal verbs used in subtle ways, and just the authentic rhythm of casual chat. C2 learners should focus on dissecting the sheer volume of idioms, the nuances of those phrasal verbs, and really tune into the conversational flow, the interruptions, how characters finish each other's sentences, how intonations signal sarcasm or surprise. A lot of the humor relies on wordplay and misunderstandings, which is a fantastic challenge for advanced comprehension.
Any particular episode?
The one with the embryos, the quiz episode, that's a classic for rapid-fire questions, answers, and lots of natural banter.
Excellent. Okay, and for something that offers maybe a different kind of linguistic feast with that sharp British wit, Sherlock.
Oh, Sherlock. Yes, a linguistic delight. Absolutely. The language is rich, it's clever, it's fast, and it's quintessentially British English. You have Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock delivering those incredible rapid-fire deduction speeches, those cascades of logic. And that's contrasted beautifully by Martin Freeman's more grounded Watson. The writing is just full of clever puns, sophisticated wordplay, cultural references.
So what should C2 learners focus on there?
Dissect Sherlock's monologues. Look at the argument structure, the precise word choice. Also, pay attention to how British humor often relies on understatement and irony. That's a key cultural and linguistic skill to master. A Study in Pink, the very first episode, is a perfect starting point.
Fantastic recommendations for TV series. It seems the key takeaway here is really about active engagement, isn't it?
Exactly. Find shows you genuinely enjoy, first off, because enjoyment fuels engagement and that deeper learning. But don't just passively watch. Treat it more like analysis. Pay attention to specific words, phrases, techniques. Pause, rewind, look things up if you need to. The more you actively dissect the language, the more you'll absorb and really elevate your own fluency.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, let's switch gears now to our second powerhouse tool, audiobooks. A lot of people might see these purely as entertainment, maybe something to listen to on a commute. How can C2 learners leverage them for serious fluency gains?
That's a common perception, yeah, but it really undersells them. Audiobooks, if you use them strategically, are such a powerful focus tool for improving English, especially at an advanced level. For C2, you're looking for that sweet spot of challenge. Books with maybe denser vocabulary, complex sentence structures, or a stylistic push, something that makes you actively work a little to understand the nuances, not just the basic plot points.
Makes sense. So how should we approach listening for maximum benefit? Is it always intense, focused listening, or is there room for more flexibility?
Both active and passive listening are valuable, definitely. Active listening is your focus session. You're really tuning in, dissecting pronunciation, intonation, stress patterns, maybe grammatical structures. It's an intense workout for your ears. Passive listening, on the other hand, is more about immersion. While you're commuting, cooking, exercising, you're basically bathing your brain in the rhythm and flow of natural English. It helps you internalize patterns subconsciously. The flexibility to switch between these methods based on your time and energy, that's a huge advantage of audiobooks.
And thinking about vocabulary,
Mm.
how do we make those high-level words actually stick when we hear them in audiobooks?
Yeah,
It's easy for them to just wash over you.
that's true. For C2, you need to go deeper than just looking up the definition. When you hear a new word, maybe rewind, hear it in context again. Try to guess its meaning first. Then, consider its collocations. What words does it naturally pair with? Is it formal? Informal? What nuance does it carry? Don't just jot it down. Try writing sentences using it. Make flashcards that force you to apply it. And crucially, try to use that new word yourself, in conversation or writing, as soon as you can. Focus on quality over quantity.
And what about polishing pronunciation and intonation, that music of English you mentioned?
Audiobooks are profoundly helpful here. Just the exposure to diverse narrators, different accents, it's like a sophisticated workout for your ears. It helps you discern subtle sound variations, and mastering intonation, that rise and fall of your voice, is so critical for sounding natural. Again, shadowing the narrator out loud, mimicking their delivery, it's incredibly effective, even if it feels a bit strange at first.
That's a great practical tip, especially for busy people. What if you encounter an unknown word while listening? Should you stop the story constantly to look it up?
Generally, no. You don't want to break the flow too often. First, try being a detective. Guess the meaning from context, the surrounding words, the tone. Infer what it might mean. If you're genuinely stuck and it's really hindering your comprehension, okay, maybe jot it down or bookmark it digitally, then look it up later. The goal is usually to keep the story moving. But crucially, once you do learn a new word, make a point to integrate it into your own active vocabulary. Use it.
So, choosing the right audiobook is obviously key. Any final guidance for C2 learners on selection?
Absolutely. The number one rule, always, is pick something you will genuinely enjoy. Passion fuels learning, right? For C2 specifically, listen to samples before you commit. Prioritize narrators perhaps with excellent character voices, or explore different accents to broaden your auditory experience. Think about your goals too. Fiction might be better for story flow and dialogue, nonfiction for academic or technical language, and consistency is paramount. Even short, regular listening sessions make a significant difference over time. Be patient. Refining English at this level is definitely a journey.
Fantastic advice. Okay, let's get into some concrete recommendations then. Books that offer that C2 linguistic workout.
All right, for advanced level learners,
Yeah.
To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, it's just a masterpiece. Linguistically, you get that rich southern U.S. setting, the accents, nuanced language, powerful rhetoric, deeply developed characters. It's a literary choice that offers really rich contextual understanding.
A classic.
Definitely. For nonfiction, maybe Sapiens. A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. It tackles these huge, complex ideas about history and humanity, but with incredibly clear and engaging language. It's fantastic for building high-level analytical and argumentative vocabulary.
I've heard great things about that one.
That's excellent. And for something maybe gripping, perhaps sci-fi. The Martian by Andy Weir. It's a survival story packed with humor, witty dialogue, but also quite a bit of technical, science-based vocabulary woven really naturally into the plot. Challenging, but genuinely fun.
Excellent. Those are some fantastic starting points for C2 learners looking to use audiobooks. You've really shown how they can be incredible, flexible tools for language mastery.
Indeed. My advice is embrace audiobooks. They make learning fun, engaging, and they're powerful for improving listening, vocabulary, and all those subtle nuances. Find stories you love, make it a regular habit, and you will undoubtedly see your fluency reach new heights.
Beautifully put. Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive covering two incredibly relevant areas today. We've really unpacked what digital addiction means, its mechanisms, and hopefully some practical steps to regain control.
And importantly, we've explored how you can turn what often feels like passive consumption, watching TV or listening to stories, into active strategic learning to really elevate your C2 English fluency. It really comes down to making deliberate, intentional choices with your digital engagement right across the board.
So wrapping up, what does this all mean? We really want to leave you, our listener, with something to think about.
Yeah, maybe take a moment, perhaps later today, and truly reflect on your own relationship with technology. Consider not just the time you spend, but how you're spending it. Are you passively being consumed by it? Or are you actively consuming, learning, growing? Ask yourself, how can you be more intentional about your digital choices? Whether that's setting boundaries for your well-being or strategically using media for skill development. Even small conscious shifts, they can transform your daily digital interactions into a more mindful, perhaps more fulfilling life, both online and offline. Consider this deep dive just a starting point for your own continued exploration, finding that balance and leveraging every opportunity for growth.